Israel, once the high-flying startup nation, is now struggling to keep its economic boat from sinking, with funds drying up faster than the Negev desert and an economy that's hitting more bumps than a Tel Aviv street. Many are asking, what on earth happened? In this video, we'll break down the key reasons behind Israel's recent financial freefall. If you want to check out all the facts we're mentioning, just head to the video description where we've included links to all the sources. Israel has officially taken the gold medal for being the most expensive country among OECD members, with a cost of living a whopping 38% above the average. Forget Paris or London. If you really want to empty your wallet, Tel Aviv's got you covered. This sharp rise has made Israel less of a Mediterranean dream and more of a financial nightmare. In short, the situation is spiraling, and the only thing growing faster than prices is public frustration.
Last weekend, Moodys, one of the three international credit rating agencies, downgraded Israel's credit rating from A1 to A2. Now, that's still investor grade, it's not junk, but it shows the strain that this war is putting on Israel's economy.
Foreign direct investment in Israel has recently taken a nosedive, especially in the high-tech sector, which, as we mentioned earlier, is currently failing like a malfunctioning app. In fact, high-tech investments plummeted by a whopping 68% in the first half of 2023 compared to the previous year. Now, sure, we can blame the global economy for some of this, but let's be honest. Israel's own political circus and economic instability have scared off foreign investors faster than you can say startup nation. It turns out, when your country feels like it's on shaky ground, so do the investors.
Israel's power grid, which has largely switched to natural gas, still depends on coal to supply demand. The biggest supplier of coal to Israel is Colombia, which announced that it would suspend coal shipments to Israel as long as the genocide was ongoing. After Colombia, the next two biggest suppliers are South Africa and Russia. Without reliable and continuous electricity, Israel will no longer be able to pretend to be a developed economy.
It's not just Israel's high-tech sector that's feeling the pinch. Many industries are waving the white flag. Take agriculture, for example. The war against Palestine has hit Israel's farmers harder than a drought, and the construction industry, let's just say it's not exactly building a bright future. Here's a jaw-dropping stat for you. Around 46,000 businesses have shut down in Israel since October 7th, and that number could balloon to 60,000 or more by the end of the year. It's like a game of dominoes, but with businesses, and spoiler alert, none of them are standing. Meanwhile, over at Israel's most important port of Eilat, things are, well, sinking. Yemen's Houthi movement has been blockading the port since 2023, and in June 2024, the CEO officially waved the bankruptcy flag. And if you thought things couldn't get worse, Yemen and Iraq have been targeting other ports that Israel could have used. These blockages have cut into Israel's port revenue big time, making them feel like a ship without a sail. But wait, there's more. Israel's tourism industry, once a cash cow and political tool, has been grounded. Thanks to many airlines suspending flights last year, Israel's tourism numbers have nosedived. And here's why that's a double whammy. Tourism not only pumps money into the economy, but Israel uses it to prop up Zionist settlements in Palestine. According to Israel's Central Bureau of Statistics, only about 180,000 tourists visited Israel in the last quarter of 2023, a sharp decline from the 930,000 who visited during the same period in 2022. That's an 81.5% drop in just 1 year. Talk about a nosedive. It's clear Israel's economy is in a free fall, and there's no travel agent to book a safe landing.
Tourism is dead for obvious reasons. And then hospitality sector, right? Because people don't necessarily like to go out these days with the mood and, and the economic problems that they are facing.
Israel's economic growth is currently facing stagnation. While there were expectations of a comeback, the continued global uncertainties along with domestic policy mistakes have left the economy struggling with no hope. The government's focus on short-term political gains rather than solving systemic economic issues has led to a lack of confidence in the people of the government's ability to help the economy grow or restore it. The current government in Israel seems to be juggling priorities, but instead of focusing on the real economic fires, they're tossing breadcrumbs to a few select groups. Sure, increasing allowances for certain populations might win some votes, but it's like putting a band-aid on a leaky boat. Meanwhile, the bigger issues like skyrocketing living costs and a sluggish economy are being left to fester. Critics are quick to point out that these short-term fixes are like using duct tape on a cracked windshield, temporary at best, disastrous at worst. If this approach keeps up, Israel's financial troubles may only get deeper, and those cracks will be harder to patch. Ending the war could be Israel's best economic strategy, obviously. Israeli economist Yaakov Sheinin recently dropped a bombshell, pun intended. The war could cost Israel a whopping $120 billion or about 20% of its GDP. To put that in perspective, their GDP was expected to grow at 3%, but thanks to the ongoing conflict, it's barely crawling at 1.5%. That's cutting the predicted growth in half. While what's happening in Palestine is the real tragedy that the whole world can see, it's also blowing a massive hole in Israel's own economy. Even Israeli economists are waving the red flag, warning that the longer this war drags on, the harder it will be for Israel to bounce back financially. And let's be real, if they don't stop now, recovery might be a pipe dream. But here's where things get really interesting. Guess who's footing the bill for Israel's military actions? You guessed it, the U.S. taxpayer. Billions in aid are being funneled to fuel this conflict, while Israel's economy crumbles. In fact, Israel's financial collapse would be a good thing for the world. It might also force them to change course and pursue peace, which would be better for everyone involved.